Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about how do you take your five-figure business and cross that threshold into the six-figure realm. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, this is like the first big goal. This is like what we want to accomplish. And unfortunately, not very many people actually get to cross that threshold. Or if they do, they've got some success for a little bit and then it goes back down. You kind of get this up and down moment where you get up above that threshold and then back down. So I want to talk about two keys that really I see help people cross that threshold and then move past it instead of dipping back down into the five-figure, pass it and keep going up into that six-figure realm. So these are two things that I've seen from working with clients and with other entrepreneurs who are trying to get to that six-figure mark that really make the difference in not only getting them to that mark, but then maintaining it and moving them past it. So here they are. Ready? The first one is how you price and package your services. So the very first thing, especially if you're a B2B service professional, pricing hourly just doesn't work. And one of the small mindset shifts that I really like to kind of push here is that the stuff that works for like the multi-million-dollar agencies of the world, the really big agencies, that stuff doesn't necessarily work for the little guys. Right? So you got to make sure that you're acting like a five-figure moving into six-figure business and not like a multi-million-dollar company. Like you've got to make sure that you separate those in your mind, because what they're doing to get to the next level is not the same thing you should be doing to get to the next level. So when you're pricing your services, you want to actually build it around a result and build a package. Don't charge hourly, because if you're charging hourly, that's actually going to keep you broke, right? So what does packaging your services do for you? The first thing it's going to do for you is that you're actually going to make money, because now you can set a price where bringing on a client actually makes a lot of sense. Bringing on a client makes a difference because it's not just a couple hours, it's not just a couple bucks, it's actual real money. And what that does for you is gets you off the treadmill of constantly having to get new clients, right? Like you bring on a client, you're like, great, now I got to go get another one. And that doesn't let you focus on the clients that you get, which is the next point that it does for you, is that you actually provide a much better service when you package your product and you raise your rates to a good level. Because now you bring on a client and you can really focus in on them and make sure that you help make a difference in their business, because you're making enough money that you're not scrambling for the next client. And as a side note, that also makes it a lot easier. If things go sideways, things go wonky, you actually have some bandwidth and some money to throw at the problem, right? And make it right with your client. But things actually go wrong a lot less often because you're actually able to focus on the client and go deep with them, right? And then the other thing that this does, by forcing you to package your services, it forces you to focus in on what you're actually providing, right? And why you actually provide it. You've heard the term, don't market to everyone, because when you market to everyone, you market to no one. Well, your packages are the same way. If you have a ton of different packages, right, the more stuff you have, the less people actually pay attention. So you got to make sure that you are providing a service that people actually want and focusing in your services so that it gets them a certain result. And that focus is actually going to make it a lot easier to sell, okay? So that's thing number one I see helps people go from five figures to six figures, and that is make sure you're packaging your services and pricing. We could call it premium pricing, right? Taking your pricing up to the next level. That's tip number one. Tip number two, it goes hand in hand. Once you've got those packages, you've got to get really clear about what it is that you offer your clients, right? And we call this your offering, or you're making an irresistible offer, so that when you talk about something, people automatically want it, right? Like, how many times have you said to somebody, you're at a networking event or something, they're like, hey, what do you do? And you say something like, oh, I do PR, or I do marketing, or I do social media. I'm like, oh, cool, how do you do that, or what does that do? And it takes a while for you to kind of explain the benefits of why they might even need what your services are. Well, if you take a step back and start looking at the results that you provide and saying, hey, when someone asks you, what do? You say, well, I help people get X, Y, Z. Now it becomes really clear how you fit into their world. And also it makes it really irresistible. They actually want it. And this is going to make your sales feel a lot more natural. You know, if you've got a problem, you ever feel like sales are slimy and sleazy, or you don't like sales, making the switch so that your offers are really, really clear is going to be really helpful for you, because now it's no longer about trying to convince them to hire you or trying to convince them that your services are worth having, because now that is straight up, it's understood, right? They know why they would hire you. And the question is not about, do I like you? The question is, do I want that result, right? Of course, liking you is probably like an important factor. It probably plays into it, but it's not about you or your credentials. It's about the result that you help them get. So when you make that switch, you actually start attracting people to you instead of chasing after them. And it makes your sales so much easier. So make that switch, you know? And I'm just glancing at my notes to make sure that I hit everything in here. Clarity. Creating an irresistible offer really helps give you clarity in your business, right? So now, again, this is streamlining your marketing, streamlining your sales. When you're really clear about what you offer and how you offer it, now we're putting hand in hand that packages and that pricing or that offer. Now, hand in hand, people are going to be really clear about what you offer. Your marketing and your sales are going to be a lot more effective. Okay, so how do you do this stuff? How do you actually build a package? How do you actually price it? How do you actually, create an offer that's irresistible? Well, it starts with your ideal clients. You've got to really tune in to what they want and find that overlap between what they want and what you provide. And that's going to start giving you insights to how you can set this stuff up so that it actually propels you forward, right? And what's cool about this is that it's compounding. So as you kind of double down on this as your business grows, you're actually going to get more and more success. You're going to get more insight into what it is they want. You're going to get more insight into how to get those results. And then that's going to make it so that your prices can go up and up and up. And that's how you get past that six-figure mark. And then even beyond that into multiple six figures, right? Like, we're framing this in a way where we're talking about how do you go from 5 to 6 figures. But if you're at 6 looking to go, how do I get to $500,000? Well, it's the same things, right? The game doesn't change just because you're successful. I see lots of entrepreneurs get up to like the $75,000 point or even like $100,000, $125,000 point. And then they think the game has changed. I got to stop doing whatever I did to get to this point, and I've got to start looking at scale, right? So they start going after low-priced offers and trying to get people in the door. And the truth is, that's not what you want to do, right? Because that type of scaling takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. And at $100,000, around that area per year, you just don't have the time or money to really invest in that to get to that next level. And guess what? You can get to $100,000 and it be a fluke, right? People with really good networks, people who start their business and like they've got really good connections, and so they get a lot of initial clients, they might see that they get to that six-figure really quickly, but then the next year, when it's time to bring on the next round of clients, or maybe some clients left, and it could be next year, it could be a couple years down the line, but when it's time to bring on new people, they realize they don't know how to do it, and the business tanks, right? So you got to be really conscientious about how you do this. The game doesn't change once you hit 100, 125. You want to keep doubling down on this until you reach, the $500,000, $250,000 and up kind of mark. That's when the game starts to shift a little bit, but even then it doesn't change a ton. So you can do all of this really, really quickly. What I love about this kind of approach, right, and what I'm really getting down to is the approach I really am a big proponent of is working on the right things. We live in this culture among entrepreneurs where we talk about hustle harder. And I get a lot of pushback because I say, it's not about hustle. And people are like, oh, what? You don't have to hustle. You don't have to have hard work. Of course you do. Well, okay, yeah, you do have to put in the work, but it's not about how long you hustle or how hard you hustle. It's about hustling and working on the right things, right? The example I put all the time is a light bulb. If a light bulb is burnt out and you're hustling by flipping the switch, it doesn't matter how fast you flip that switch, the light bulb's not turning on. I'm sorry, it's not turning on. So how do you fix that? You take a step back, you change the light bulb. And then all you have to do is flip the switch once and there's more light than you ever needed, right? Like it's flooding the whole place. Your business is the same. Stop running on a treadmill trying to hustle harder and take a step back and focus on the right things. And when you do, you see amazing results come in really quickly. Of course, it takes time. Of course, it takes practice to master these things, but to start seeing results, it can happen really quickly. And one example I've got, and I've got a case study of it. So if you want this case study, in the comments, write case study and I'll send it to you. And it's a client of mine who came to me. They wanted to switch gears in their business, and they actually were one of those people who had a really good network. They got really successful, but now the business was going down. They didn't know what to do. So we put these tweaks, the same tweaks we just talked about, and a couple of more, and they were able to bring in $12,000 in 3 weeks. $12,000 new business in 3 weeks. That's the type of thing that you see when you start making these shifts, right? Now, taking it beyond that, yeah, a good initial $12,000 is great, but you can continue that trend once you start focusing on the same things, right? And you can actually build a six-figure business. I see it happen within 90 days, right? 3 months, you've got, to make $100,000, you need what, 85,000 per month? So creating that sort of income within 90 days is 100% possible, or adding that type of income, 100% possible. So if you want that information, write case study below and I will send it to you in a message. There's no sales pitch, there's no gimmick, there's no nothing, right? You want it, I'll send it to you. It's your gift, and hopefully it helps you take your business to the next level, because this is what I do. I love helping people take their business to the next level. I do it through a 90-day intensive where we create a six-figure business or six-figure income within 90 days. So if that's something you're interested in, you can talk to me, send me a direct message, we can talk about it. Otherwise, put case study in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and that's all I got, so we'll talk soon. See you guys.